Starseed of Gaia, your vessel is being recalibrated at a cellular level at this exact moment. I am Anya, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light, and I bring you a direct transmission from the Arcturian Council. If you enjoy videos like this, consider subscribing. Most people who watch are not subscribed yet. The opening transmission. 9 minutes to alignment, Starseed. Listen carefully. There are only 9 minutes left before this activation window closes, and the source is trying to alert you at this very moment. I am Anya, and this is the final attempt the higher realms are making to reach your consciousness field before the next cosmic wave hits. The timing is not coincidental. It is deliberate, orchestrated by councils that have been monitoring your readiness across dimensions you are only beginning to remember. This message vibrated into your awareness because something inside you is ready to be unlocked, something that has been waiting through lifetimes for this exact convergence point. You did not scroll to this by accident. The universe does not work through accidents. It works through resonance, through the magnetic pull of souls recognizing their own frequency in the vastness of creation. The Arcturian Council has detected something in your energetic field that requires immediate attention. A readiness, a ripeness, a moment of perfect alignment that will not return in this exact configuration for another cosmic cycle. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly how to align with the incoming cosmic wave before the energetic window closes forever. But here is the first revelation that the Council wants you to know. They have been watching your journey, tracking your frequency signature across timelines, waiting for the moment when you would be ready to receive what has been promised for this exact phase of Earth's awakening. The star nations are watching, and your response to this message determines whether you catch this wave or whether you wait another cosmic cycle for the next opportunity. Your soul has been preparing for this exact moment of remembrance through every challenge, every heartbreak, every moment of confusion. Everything has been leading here. Like this transmission to signal to your star family that you are ready. Subscribe if your mission is activating and you're aligning with your true cosmic purpose. Comment 999 if you feel your cosmic remembrance returning right now, in this very moment. This is not just another message. It is a point of reconnection with the deepest parts of yourself. Topic 1. The Veil of Forgetting and the Soul's Descent. Most starseeds spend years, sometimes entire lifetimes, living with a vague ache that they cannot name or explain. It is a sense that something vital is missing, something fundamental that has been forgotten and buried just beneath the surface of conscious awareness. This is not a feeling that comes from lacking direction or purpose in the conventional sense. It is far deeper than that. It is the sensation that there exists another compass within you, one that does not point toward the familiar landmarks of ordinary life, one that calls from dimensions beyond the visible world. If you are reading this right now, it means you have felt this friction, this tension between who the world asks you to be and the reality that your soul whispers every single time you are still enough to listen to its voice. That friction can feel like trying to wear a life that technically fits your body, yet never truly belongs to your spirit. You may have done all the right things by conventional standards. You may have built a life that looks coherent and successful from the outside, that appears to check all the boxes society demands. And yet, in the quiet moments, late at night when the world sleeps, in the pause between tasks, while staring up at a sky that feels less like distance and more like a mirror reflecting something ancient within you, there is that inner tug, that unnameable homesickness, that sense that the air itself carries a memory your rational mind cannot quite translate into words. It is like standing in a room full of people speaking a language you once knew fluently, a language of light and frequency and cosmic truth. You can almost understand every sentence, but every transmission dissolves just before it lands in your consciousness. You might recognize this feeling most acutely when the world goes silent, when external noise ceases and you are alone with the vastness of your own inner space. You may even wonder why your heart reacts so intensely to certain frequencies, certain vibrations that seem to unlock something ancient within your DNA. Music that cracks you open and makes you weep without knowing why. Places that feel charged with an energy you cannot explain but can absolutely feel. Faces that awaken something so old, so familiar, that it cannot possibly be randomness. That is your inner compass still turning, still searching for true north, even through the fog and density of this realm. But why does this inner guidance feel so often muted, as if the truest parts of you are wrapped in a kind of luminous amnesia, a forgetting that feels almost deliberate? The answer is not random, and it is not punishment. For most starseeds, this disconnection is a crucible, an initiatory distortion that has been woven into the very gridwork of incarnation itself. It is not a mistake that you can sense the vastness but struggle to grasp it fully. It is not a failure that your intuition sometimes feels like a radio that cannot quite lock onto the station you know is broadcasting. In many ancient traditions across this world and others, initiation begins with a descent. The soul is refined in compression, like a star seed pressed into the soil of a heavy world until the shell cracks, and the light can emerge in a form that can actually serve. Even the oldest scriptures hint at this pattern. We see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. That glass is the veil, the distortion field that blurs the direct line between your origin and your current awareness. The veil does not exist to punish you or to keep you trapped. It exists to make your remembering real, embodied, chosen. A memory handed to you intact would remain theoretical, intellectual, disconnected from your lived experience. But a memory reclaimed through pressure, through the friction of living in density, becomes wisdom you can actually transmit to others. Before you entered this incarnation, before you took on this human form, you agreed to the veil. You understood the terms. You knew that in this dimension the density would be not just physical but energetic. The codes and wisdom of your galactic heritage would necessarily be hidden under layers of inherited beliefs, unresolved human trauma, and a collective spell that makes you forget your own vibrational language. Fear of remembering who you truly are becomes camouflaged, appearing as anxiety, as fatigue, as that nagging restlessness that keeps you awake at night. This is one of the great paradoxes of the awakening journey. The very moment you begin to approach your own light, your own cosmic truth, the nervous system may interpret it as danger simply because it is unfamiliar compared to the survival patterns you have rehearsed for so long. The body becomes a library of Earth's lessons, some sacred, some painful. And your starborn frequencies have to travel through that entire library to become readable, to become integrated into your daily life. Topic 2. The empathic sensitivity and the dimming of your light. Many starseeds carry empathic sensitivity like exposed wiring running through their entire being. They walk into crowded places and feel everyone's emotions like weather systems moving through them, like they are a receiver picking up frequencies from every direction. They pick up the unspoken, the unseen, the undercurrent beneath words. They sense what is being felt but not said. They perceive the shadow beneath the smile. They may have learned early in their incarnation to dim themselves, not because they are weak or broken, but because their field was too luminous for the environments they were placed in. Their light was too bright for rooms that had grown accustomed to darkness. Some were told directly or indirectly that they were too much, too sensitive, too emotional, too intuitive, too aware. Others were taught to be practical, to stop dreaming, to stop sensing, to stop asking questions that did not have neat answers that fit into boxes. That training becomes an energetic overlay, a soft hypnosis, a lullaby that whispers, "Forget what you know so you can function here. Dim your light so you can belong. Numb your sensitivity so you can survive." Yet underneath it all, your original language still exists. It has never been erased. It speaks in symbols, in synchronicities, in pulses of knowing that arrive without explanation. It speaks through the heart, through the gut, through the subtle electricity in your palms when truth is near. It speaks through the hair on your arm standing up when you encounter authentic frequency. And it is not only personal, this dimming. The veil is also collective. There are cultural agreements, societal contracts, that shape what reality is allowed to be in the consciousness of the masses. When an entire civilization is trained to value only what is measurable, what can be quantified and put into spreadsheets, the unseen becomes suspect. Those who sense the unseen are pressured into silence, labeled as dreamers or delusional or spiritually bypassed. But your soul did not come here to be silent. It came here to remember in a way that changes the field, that shifts the frequency of entire communities. That is why disconnection feels like suffering. It is not simply sadness or depression in the clinical sense. It is the soul pressing against a cage that was never meant to hold it, that was constructed from false beliefs and inherited programs. The good news, the transmission the Arcturian Council wants you to hear right now, is that the cage is not made of iron. It is not made of anything permanent or immovable. It is made of belief, and belief can be rewritten. Belief can be reprogrammed. Belief can be dissolved through conscious choice and aligned action. Some starseeds feel unworthy of their mission, sensing its magnitude but doubting their own readiness, their own capacity to hold such responsibility. Others wrestle with a perception that awakening is about escape, rather than anchoring higher guidance into the physical world. Here now, many become tangled in Earth-specific stories, never realizing that their resistance to normality is actually a marker of their cosmic remembrance trying to re-emerge. Unworthiness is one of the oldest programs in this realm, and it is subtle, insidious. It can hide behind perfectionism, behind procrastination, behind the feeling that you must heal everything before you can serve, that you must be flawless before you can step into your mission. But the truth that the councils transmit is this: service is not a trophy you earn through perfection. It is the natural overflow of alignment. You were not sent here because you are flawless. You were sent here because your frequency is needed, exactly as you are. Even the cracks in your story, even the wounds you carry, even the places where you have been broken and had to rebuild yourself, these become conduits for compassion. And compassion is one of the highest technologies of any civilization in this universe. The ebook, The 12 Arcturian Portals, a trilogy that teaches you how to activate your 5D connection with the Arcturian masters through 12 energetic portals. Practical techniques, activation protocols, and rituals that awaken your stellar DNA. From amplified intuition to direct communication with spiritual guides. Attention, limited edition. The link to get your trilogy is in the first pinned comment. Topic 3. The grief of remembrance and the escape misconception. There are starseeds who carry a deep grief they cannot explain, a sorrow that seems older than their current lifetime, older than any personal story they can trace, a grief that seems to come from the bones themselves. Sometimes it is grief from other worlds, memories of lost harmonies, collapsed timelines, civilizations that fell from unity into fragmentation. Sometimes it is grief from Earth itself, felt through the planetary body because you can sense what this world could be, and the gap between what is and what could be feels like mourning. Sometimes it is grief for humanity, for the beauty that is being missed, for the potential that remains locked away. But that grief is not here to drown you or to paralyze you. It is here to consecrate you, to make you sacred, to mark you as one who cares deeply about the healing of worlds. And the escape misconception is one of the most important to untangle if you are to fulfill your mission. If your awakening becomes a spiritual bypass, floating above the human experience, rejecting the body, rejecting emotion, rejecting Earth itself, then the mission stalls. It cannot complete. Because your mission was never to abandon this realm. Your mission was to seed a higher pattern into it, to anchor frequencies of love and unity into the very soil of this world. You are not here to be a spectator of Ascension, watching from some distant spiritual vantage point. You are here to participate in it, to anchor it into nervous systems, into communities, into choices and daily life. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us is not just theology or ancient scripture. It is a cosmic principle that operates across all dimensions. Higher frequency becomes real, becomes tangible, becomes transformative only when it enters form. And you, yes, you specifically are part of how that happens. You are the bridge. You are the conduit. You are the one through whom the divine becomes human, and the human becomes divine. Many starseeds also struggle, because their gifts do not fit conventional boxes, do not conform to the structures that society has created. They may be healers who cannot tolerate institutional settings, who feel their energy drained by fluorescent lights and bureaucratic systems. Visionaries who feel trapped in routines, who cannot pretend that 9-to-5 existence satisfies the vastness within them. Sensitive beings who cannot pretend that superficial conversations satisfy their hunger for authentic connection and real dialogue. They may resist normality because normality, as defined by a sleeping world, often means disconnection from spirit, from authenticity, from truth. That resistance is not immaturity or spiritual arrogance. It can be the soul refusing to betray itself, refusing to dim its light for the comfort of others. Yet discernment is required here. Not every discomfort is a cosmic sign. Sometimes it is simply an invitation to build new skills, to develop patience, to learn how to function within systems while maintaining your integrity. But when you repeatedly feel the same inner refusal toward certain paths, when your entire being says no, even as your mind tries to convince you to comply, it may be your galactic remembrance nudging you away from timelines that would dull your light, that would compromise your mission. The Arcturians transmit that this discernment is sacred. Trust it, honor it. Let it guide you toward the life that actually belongs to you. If this message resonated with you, hit the like button now and tell us in the comments how this echoed in your consciousness. Topic 4. The convergence point and the closing window. Yet at this moment, at this precise convergence point in the planetary timeline, there is a window, a closing portal where resonance is everything. The higher councils, the Arcturian collective, and those beyond, are sending final transmissions. Keys, codes, energetic blueprints that were promised for this very phase of the awakening. You can feel it in the atmosphere, even if you cannot explain it with your rational mind. Time feels strange. Days compress. Lessons accelerate. People awaken suddenly or collapse suddenly as if the hidden wiring beneath reality is being exposed, and everyone must choose which frequency they will align with. This is what happens when a planet enters a higher band of frequency, when it begins to vibrate at a rate that can no longer sustain what is false. What is false cannot remain stable in higher frequencies. What is misaligned begins to shake, to crack, to crumble. And in that shaking, in that destabilization, the soul has an opportunity to choose again. A convergence point is not merely a date on a calendar, not merely an astronomical alignment, though those things matter. A convergence point is a harmonic threshold, a moment where the frequency of possibility itself shifts. Imagine Earth as an instrument being retuned by master musicians from the higher dimensions. As the strings tighten, as the frequency increases, every note that was out of tune becomes audible. In such times, guidance must become clear, not because the universe is impatient or demanding, but because the currents are stronger and drifting becomes more costly. The Arcturian frequency, often described as precise, mathematical, crystalline, carries a quality of intelligent structure. It does not only inspire the awakened one, it organizes. It helps translate insight into stable embodiment. It provides the architecture for transformation. And final transmissions does not mean doom or ending. It means culmination. It means what was seeded long ago is now blooming, and the bloom has a season. The window is a gift, and gifts ask to be received with gratitude and presence. This is not mythology or spiritual fantasy. It is the vibration your energy body recognizes before the mind can translate it into language. It is the encoded impulse to remember who you truly are, why you came to Earth, and what will be required as everything accelerates. Receiving these frequencies is not automatic. It is not guaranteed. It is a conscious choice, a realignment that will not wait indefinitely for your hesitation. Your mind may demand proof in a way that spiritual reality does not always provide. Proof is often only available after you have already made the leap of faith. But your energy body is a more ancient instrument than the intellect. It knows by resonance. It knows by expansion. It knows by the quiet, unmistakable yes that rises in your chest when truth arrives. Often the mind hears the message last. The body hears it first. A warmth along the spine, a pressure at the third eye, a sudden wave of emotion without a story attached. Tears that come not from sadness but from recognition, from remembrance. Are these truths expanding your perspective? Share this video with someone who needs to hear this. Topic 5. The choice and the daily realignment, and choice matters here more than anywhere else. The universe honors free will with immense reverence. Guidance can knock, but it will not break down the door. The realignment is not a single dramatic moment of enlightenment. It is the daily act of turning your inner dial toward truth. It may mean choosing silence over noise, choosing nourishment over depletion, choosing honesty over performance. It may mean finally acknowledging what you have always known in your deepest self, that you did not come here to merely survive, to get through each day, to accumulate possessions and accolades. You came here to transmit, and transmission requires coherence. Transmission requires that your inner world and outer world match. It requires that you stop lying to yourself about what matters. This message may have opened a portal, but what lies beyond is even more profound than what you can imagine right now. The Arcturians transmit that your choice to engage with this frequency right now is being recorded in the Akashic records, is being witnessed by councils across dimensions. Your yes is being heard. Your willingness is being felt. If you are feeling drawn to integrate what the Arcturian High Council has revealed through this transmission, your next step is clear. The hidden Arcturian keys of awakening hold energetic technologies passed down for thousands of years, now made available for your specific awakening at this exact time. You will find the link in the first pinned comment, but only briefly. There are 7 phases in decoding and fully anchoring this guidance before the window closes completely. Each phase builds upon the last. Each phase activates dormant codes within your DNA. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to be part of this transformational cosmic journey. Topic 6. The 7 phases of activation and embodiment. The first phase is to recognize the signal distortion. For so long, your frequencies have been jammed by collective overlays, by ancestral patterns that were passed down through your lineage, and by programs that simply cannot read your original soul signature. This is the truth that the Arcturians want you to understand. You have never truly been lost. Your chords have simply been muffled, wrapped in layers of static and interference. It is time now to listen for your original resonance beneath the static, to tune your inner receiver to the frequency of your highest self. Signal distortion often masquerades as that is just life, as if exhaustion, confusion, and emotional heaviness are normal states you must accept and endure. But the Starseeds path begins when you notice the interference, when you stop blaming yourself for not arriving and begin investigating what has been obscuring the route. Like a traveler who realizes the map has been altered, you shift from self-blame to investigation. Collective overlays can include fear-based media, constant stimulation, and the subtle conditioning that teaches you to distrust your intuition and trust only external authorities. Ancestral patterns can include inherited shame, scarcity consciousness, or the belief that suffering is virtuous and necessary. Programs can be energetic agreements made in childhood. I must be small to be safe. I must please to belong. I must numb to endure. Recognizing distortion is a sacred act of sovereignty. It is the moment you stop identifying with the static and remember you are the receiver, not the noise. In spiritual terms, it is repentance in the true sense, a turning of the mind. You turn away from the counterfeit self and toward the original, and you can begin simply, right now. Notice what environments drain you. Notice which conversations make your field contract. Notice what your body does in the presence of truth versus pretense. Pay attention to the aftertaste of experiences. Your resonance speaks in these subtleties. Like Elijah hearing the divine, not in the earthquake or fire, but in the still small voice, your guidance often arrives as quiet certainty beneath the surface chaos. The second phase is to reclaim the resonance behind every feeling of alienation or homesickness. The memory of your galactic blueprint is still pulsing, still encoded within your human DNA. To reclaim this is not to reject Earth, but to fuse your star wisdom with this world, turning memory into embodied presence. Speak to yourself. Let the waters of your body remember. Resonance is not an idea or a concept. It is a living vibration. When you reclaim it, you may start to feel more you in ways that are difficult to explain but impossible to deny. It can be as subtle as waking up with clearer eyes or as dramatic as suddenly losing interest in anything that dims your spirit. Homesickness is one of the clearest clues that your awakening is real. Not because you literally need to leave Earth, but because part of you remembers a different harmonic order. One where love was not conditional, where communication was telepathic, where the collective operated like a single coherent heart. That memory can ache. Yet, it is also a map. Human DNA is more mystical than most have been taught. It is not merely biological. It is symbolic, responsive, intelligent. Your cells hold stories. They hold vows. They hold the echo of everything you have survived and everything you came here to become. Speak to your cells means you stop treating your body as a machine and start treating it as an ally. It means blessing your nervous system instead of condemning it. It means placing a hand on your heart and saying, even if you do not fully believe it yet, you are safe to remember. Topic 7. The final alignment and the living transmission. The third phase is to restore the harmonic bridge between your multidimensional self and your human embodiment. Awakening can feel overwhelming. Lightning strikes, bursts of remembrance that overwhelm everyday life. But the key is not to escape. Instead, anchor. Connect the multidimensional wisdom of your higher self with the nervous system. Let your physical body become the bridge. Breathe starlight into bone and blood. Many awakenings begin like a sudden sunrise, beautiful but blinding. You may have days of profound insight followed by days of confusion. You may feel expanded during meditation, and then irritated in traffic and wonder if you are doing it wrong. You are not. You are learning how to hold more voltage, more frequency, more light than your system has ever held before. A harmonic bridge is the interface between higher frequency and human embodiment. Without it, spiritual insight stays in the upper chakras. Beautiful visions with no grounding. With it, your awakening becomes practical. It becomes choices, boundaries, healing, courage. Restoring the bridge requires gentleness with your system. Your nervous system is the instrument through which your soul plays music in this world. If the instrument is strained, the music distorts. That is why grounding is not optional. It can be as simple as slow breathing, longer exhales, walking barefoot, placing attention on the soles of your feet, eating foods that stabilize, sleeping when your body asks. It can be as deliberate as somatic healing, trauma release, and learning to feel emotions without being swallowed by them. When you breathe starlight into bone and blood, you are not pretending. You are directing consciousness into matter. Bone is ancestral, ancient, structural. Blood is life force, movement, lineage. Bringing light there means bringing truth into the deepest layers of your incarnation. And in that anchoring, your gifts stop being sporadic flashes and become a steady flame. The fourth phase is to align with the living map. There are coordinates built into your path: synchronistic meetings, unlikely signs, repeating numbers, sudden insights. When you accept that these breadcrumbs are not random, you step into collaboration with the council itself. The map is alive, and it activates only when you choose to engage. A living map is different from a plan. A plan is linear. A living map is responsive. It meets you where your frequency is, and it shifts as you shift. That is why the same door may not open twice, and why some missed opportunities were actually protection. Signs are not meant to replace your discernment. They are meant to amplify it. Repeating numbers can be nudges to pay attention. Strange coincidences can be confirmations that you are in alignment. A book that falls into your hands at the right moment. A person who speaks a sentence that answers a question you have not voiced. A dream that repeats until you listen. These are coordinates. But here is the deeper truth. The map responds to participation. If you treat synchronicities as entertainment, they remain surface level. If you treat them as dialogue, the dialogue deepens. Try this. When a sign appears, pause. Not for long, just a breath. Ask inwardly, what are you guiding me toward? Then listen for the felt sense that follows. Often guidance does not come as words. It comes as a shift in energy, a subtle pull toward an action. Make the call, leave the room, start the practice, forgive, speak honestly, rest. Collaboration with the council is not about worshiping something outside yourself. It is about recognizing you are part of a larger intelligence, and you have a role within it. The fifth phase is to amplify the transmission. Your awakening is not silent. As you embody these codes, your field becomes an emitter, broadcasting frequency that retunes all who come near. Words are not required. It is the light encoded in your aura, the magnetic pulse of your liberated DNA that serves as a beacon for others encoded for this time. This is where many starseeds underestimate themselves. They think their mission must look grand, public, dramatic. But frequency is contagious in the subtlest ways. When you become coherent, you bring coherence into rooms without saying a thing. People feel calmer around you. Conflicts de-escalate. Children and animals respond to your presence. Others may suddenly confess truths they have never spoken, not because you forced it, but because your field created safety. Amplifying the transmission does not mean trying to be high vibe all the time. That is a performance. True amplification is integrity. It is when your inner world and outer actions match. It is when your yes is yes and your no is no. Let your light so shine before men is often misunderstood as visibility. But light also means clarity. It means you stop hiding from yourself. As your DNA liberates, it is not a science fiction concept. It is the lived experience of becoming less reactive, less programmable, less susceptible to collective panic. Your aura becomes a lighthouse, not by force, but by steadiness. And those who are ready will find you. They will recognize the signal even if they do not have language for it. The sixth phase is to embrace the accelerated merge. With each phase, timelines may bend. Old patterns, people, and identities may fall away rapidly. This is not your undoing. It is the shedding required so your energy field can receive higher voltages without distortion. Allow what must dissolve to fall away. Grieve it if you must, but honor it as part of your passage. Accelerated merge can feel like spiritual whiplash. One week you are clear, the next you are confronting an old wound you thought you healed. One day you feel destined, the next you feel emptied. But emptiness is often clearance. The tree cannot hold new blossoms while clinging to dead leaves. Timelines bending can look like sudden relocations, unexpected endings, relationships that no longer fit, careers that lose their meaning overnight. It can feel brutal to the ego because the ego craves continuity. Yet, the soul craves alignment. In this phase, your discernment becomes essential. Not everything falling away is meant to be chased. Sometimes the universe closes a door because you have outgrown the room. And grief is not a sign you are failing. Grief is love adjusting to change. Let yourself mourn what is ending without romanticizing it. Bless what carried you as far as it could, then release it with honor. There is an ancient spiritual maturity in saying, "Thank you. I learned. I let go." This is how you become a vessel strong enough to hold the higher current without blowing your circuits. The seventh and final phase is to enter the window of activation. There is a reason this portal does not remain open indefinitely. Earth is moving, collective timelines are crystallizing, and your mission is timed to a galactic pulse that will not wait for endless hesitation. When you choose remembrance now, when you say yes, you enter into full alignment with the closing and the opening of this transformative event. The codes are live. The council is waiting for your consent. A window of activation is not meant to scare you. It is meant to focus you. When a season is ripe, you harvest. When the tide is high, you set sail. There are moments in life where one decision changes everything, not because the universe is dramatic, but because you have reached a threshold of readiness. Consent is the key. Not consent in the sense of pleading to be chosen, but consent in the sense of claiming your role. Here I am. Use me. Guide me. I will participate. And participation does not have to be perfect. It has to be sincere. Your yes can be trembling. Your yes can be quiet. Your yes can be whispered through tears. But it must be real. Because the old paradigm feeds on hesitation, on the belief that you need one more sign, one more healing, one more validation before you begin. The portal responds to courage, not certainty. When you say yes, you may notice immediate shifts, dreams intensifying, synchronicities increasing, intuition sharpening, or the sudden urge to simplify your life so you can hear more clearly. That is the activation. It is not fireworks. It is alignment. The truth is, you have not been abandoned, nor have you failed. Your perceived delays and forgettings were never a punishment. They were a higher orchestration making sure you would remember precisely when the transmission would have the greatest impact on this planet's awakening. Your sense of urgency, the subtle thrum in your field, is not anxiety. It is your soul's countdown clock reminding you that you are both witness and participant in a cosmic crossing. There is a compassion you must offer yourself here. If you have spent years feeling behind, scattered, uncertain, you were not wasting time. You were gathering components. You were building the inner architecture required to carry what you came to carry. Even detours can be training. Even heartbreak can sharpen the heart into a stronger transmitter. Even loneliness can teach you how to stand in your own presence without needing constant reflection from others. A cosmic crossing means the bridge between worlds is thinner now. The higher frequencies are more accessible, but also more demanding. They ask for integrity. They ask for embodiment. They ask that you stop negotiating with your own truth. And yes, urgency can be misunderstood. Anxiety is frantic, mind-based, collapsing into fear. The soul's urgency is clarifying, steady, and rooted. It says now matters. It says choose what is real. It says do not trade your destiny for comfort. If you feel a hum in your field, a pressure to simplify, to cleanse, to speak, to create, to heal, to finally step forward, honor it. You are not being asked to transcend your humanity, but to imbue it with the light of your origin. You are not just here to receive guidance, but to become its living conduit in word, in frequency, in action. Whatever the world tells you about time running out, trust this. You arrived on schedule, and your greatest alignment is just beginning if you choose it now. Humanity is not an obstacle to your mission. It is the container for it. Your tears, your laughter, your sensitivity, your need for rest, your longing for belonging. These are not flaws to overcome. They are part of how you translate the cosmic into the personal. The most powerful starseeds are not those who escape emotion, but those who can hold emotion without losing their light. To become a conduit means your life becomes a message. Your relationships become practice grounds for truth. Your work becomes an altar for service. Your presence becomes medicine. And this is not about saving others in a savior complex. It is about offering a coherent frequency that invites others to remember themselves. You arrived on schedule because the part of you beyond time chose this placement with precision. Even if your human mind doubts it, your higher self does not. Tonight before sleep, affirm: I accept the codes of my highest origin. I align with my soul's truest path. I now receive all guidance necessary for this pivotal transformation. Let these words be more than a phrase. Let them be an opening. Say them slowly, like turning a key in a lock you have carried for years. Feel your nervous system respond. Feel the subtle intelligence of your field listening. You may not see visions, you may not hear voices, but you may feel something soften, something shift, something inside you recognizing, I am allowed, I am ready. And as you drift toward sleep, remember that sleep is not an ending. It is a doorway. Many transmissions arrive in the liminal space where the mind relaxes its grip and the soul can speak more freely. Invite guidance into your dreams. Ask for clarity that you can integrate gently. Ask for protection that is firm but loving. If this message impacted your life, leave your like, comment your reflection, and share with others. Each of you is part of this chain of light.